if you've watched this channel for any amount of time, you probably already know that Riverside has become a huge part of how I create. But one of the things I've always found interesting about Riverside isn't just the technology. It's how much they actually listen to the people using it. Recently, Crystal and I had the opportunity to sit down with Kendall Breitman, Riverside's head of community, for an episode of the Health Tech and Wellness podcast. And if you want to hear Kendall's full story, I'll leave a link to the complete episode below. But there was also a really great conversation about Riverside itself. We talked about how the platform has grown from primarily a remote recording tool into something much bigger, how creator feedback actually makes its way into the product, and why community has become such an important part of what Riverside is building. And since that's exactly the kind of stuff we talk about here, I wanted to pull that part of our conversation out and share it with you. I want to introduce Kendall Breitman, the head of community at Riverside. Kendall is the whole reason why I'm even doing this today, because I was about to give up, I would say, almost 2 years ago. Kendall helps all of us grow. She listens to our feedback. She builds what, in my opinion, it's one of the most supportive creator communities, in my opinion, in podcasting. Before joining Riverside, Kendall worked as a journalist covering politics and current events, something that we completely try to steer away from. We talk a little bit of current events, but politics we don't touch. Many people may know Kendall today as the face of Riverside and the Riverside community. So Kendall, let me officially welcome you. And we're so thrilled that you're able to take the time out of your day today, because we know it's going to be really busy for you. So again, thank you so much for being on.
Wow, what a round out. Yeah, wow. Thank you. I hope I live up to this hype. A very special episode. I'm like, okay, here I am. I'll send this one to my mom.
Welcome, Kendall. Welcome.
She's like, I didn't expect to blush today.
Yes.
No, but we actually do, we spent some time thinking about who we wanted to have on a guest, and I've got a list of people that I really wanted to have on, but honestly, I couldn't think of anybody better, because without you, without Riverside, without the great things that the company you work for and represent has built, I wouldn't be doing this today.
Thank you. Yay. Do you know the story, Crystal, of how me and John met?
A little bit of it. You want to share the funny part, though?
Yeah, I was leading a webinar, and there was somebody in the chat named John that was like hyping. It was like #1 cheerleader hyping me up, and also hyping up Riverside with being like, I love it here. I love this product. And I was like, and I literally at the end of the webinar, I was like, and John in the chat, just like write to me in my email. Put out my email to like everyone that was watching, being like, all right, if I get a bunch of random ones, I know this John character is going to reach out. And that's how we met, because I was like, who is this John in the chat? Actually, my boss was also watching that webinar. And he's like, there's that one guy, John, that was like, really, he was great. And I was like, if you don't think that I've been already emailing with this John, so that's how we met. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I've told you on numerous occasions, and I was just talking with Crystal before we got on, that I love to call myself your favorite pain in the ass community member. Because
you're
not only,
I mean, you are my favorite community member, but you're not a pain in the ass at all.
I don't want to make anybody mad. I'm sure I'm not your favorite, but I am the pain in the ass. I'll take that and wear it.
I'd flip it. Seriously, I think you're top, but you're not a pain at all. Like, really,
I'm over the top.
No. You're actually every time it's like, do you have a community member who would be willing to hop on a call? I'm like, yes, I do. John's the best.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, yeah, this studio is all thanks to you too. I mean, I've thrown the idea of my logo at you, and we talked about Rocky when you first came on, and
yeah, because I'm a Philadelphia girl.
Yes,
yeah, so I saw Rocky, and I was like, all right. As a background, there's a fly in the studio. So hopefully it doesn't get in the shot. If it does, then I've announced it.
I appreciate it, because I was curious what you were staring. I was like, is her monitor up above her head at the moment?
There's a fly going around here, but that's what makes us authentic, and that's what people want, is authentic content. So here we are.
Yes. But I do want to talk a little bit about Riverside, because I do love it. And me and Crystal, we could tell you numerous times that Riverside has saved our show. from internet connection issues where the high quality recording was already there, and my entire, because again, I'm an over the top guy, and my entire ramble was going and not even knowing Crystal was frozen, not even there. And then she'd come back on and go, "Hey, I was gone," and I'd be like, "Oh, I gotta remember what. Let's just go from here." So it saved my recordings so many times, and then I didn't even know it, but let me just give a little quick plug for something that I didn't know Riverside did. But everybody's like, well, I use Zoom because it's just reliable. I don't want to worry about if I have enough space on my hard drive or whatever. Go look at my last episode, our last episode. It's a Zoom quality on Crystal's side. It was nothing I could do about it. Her phone was full. She records on her phone, but her phone was full. I didn't see the notice. She saw the notice. Maybe she mentioned it to me and I just didn't think about it. But long story short, I got done and there was like 10 seconds of her raw recording in the editor for me to work with. And I'm like, we lost this entire episode. So luckily I am part of the beta community and I've got a few little contacts to speak to other people besides just Kendall. And
people who are going to actually help you with technical issues.
Yes. So he literally says to me, download the cloud. And I'm like, it didn't go to the cloud. It didn't save on our, no, we still save it. Don't worry about it. So I pulled down the cloud. It wasn't the great quality that you're going to see today. It wasn't the great quality you see on the podcast on a regular basis, but we saved the episode, right? Mm-hmm. So it was amazing. So Riverside has really went above and beyond for our show. Nice. For my podcasting career, for my creator side, where I'm helping other creators and I'm doing, editing for them. So again, Nadav, if you see this, thank you so much.
Awesome. Crystal, are you using the front camera of your phone or your back camera?
Right.
The front? You should use your back one. That's just my side. That's my side note. It has better quality than your front camera. Pro tip.
But then I can't see if I look funny or not. And that is a must, you see.
It is. Yes. Okay. Fair. Yes.
Yes. I do have to fix her eyes using the AI eye adjuster because she's looking at herself or me the entire time instead of the camera, but we work on that.
Because she's looking at herself the whole time. Instead of
little narcissism, right? No, just joking. But let's go into some questions here real quick. And I really want to talk about just on the Riverside side because it has grown. It started in 2020?
Mm-hmm. Yes, okay. Maybe 2019
ish, right around COVID times.
Yeah, right before COVID.
Like. And I came on with you guys almost close to 2 years ago, so maybe you were up, say, 4 years, right? And in that amount of time, it did some growth. But in this last 2 years, it has skyrocketed. And I mean, when I first came on, I'm like, this is super easy. It's all I need. I'm good. And then literally every time I'd go, man, I do wish it did this, but I don't want to go back and try that other stuff because I hated it. You guys literally throw it in. So when you look back over the last few years, what are you most proud of, I think, of where the things that they've added, the tools that they've added, or just in general, what are you most proud of?
Yeah, I mean, okay, I joined 3.5 years ago. And I remember when I joined, it was mainly a recording tool, and then there was like a light editor, and there was even a whole discussion on like, do we want to get into editing? And of course we did. And so from there it's been editing, clipping, hosting now, publishing, social scheduling. You have websites, newsletters through it. So I think just like been proud of seeing that growth. It's also just like a very cool company to work for because like, as you were saying, we're all just very, like everyone thinks really outside of the box. So if we're saying, oh, this would be really cool to have, and then we just start developing it, like it's a very agile type of company. I don't know. It's just been really cool to see that evolution from coming in and being like local recordings, which is still like obviously our bread and butter, but then moving on to see us build out an editor, us release a new editor, then hosting and the websites and the newsletters. It's just all of that has just been really cool, like the evolution of that. So I think that as a whole I'm proud of, but also just like as a team that we are very like that we don't put a lot of bureaucracy into what we're doing. There's not a lot of like, oh, let's have 18 people approve this idea before we start chasing it. It's like if we have cool ideas, we just start running after them. We see which one to prioritize. So that's very cool. And then not to like give a million answers for this, but I think for the third one, just as head of community myself, is that it's really cool to see how much community like feedback is put into this. So when the community is saying, hey, we have an issue here, or this would be really cool to have this, just the amount that the product team and the developers like actually see that and hear it and respond to it is just, it's just really cool. So I think a lot of companies like head of community can kind of be seen as like maybe not as important as a role or as impactful of a role, but here like really it like hearing what the community says and responding to it is something that's just like very much in the DNA.
Yeah, we were joking before we came on. So you'd mentioned how we met, and I was telling her, like, I've had HBO since it was HBO Go, and then they went through their identity crisis and became HBO Now, and then they went to HBO Max, and then back to HBO, and then back
Now
to
it's
HBO
Max.
Max. Yes, and now I think it's back to HBO Max. But either way, like, they've never once reached out and said, John, you've got Big Bang Theory running 24/7 at your house. Let's talk about it. But yet Riverside reaches out and says, hey, we would love to hear, how do you use us? What can we do better?
Yeah.
Hey, you talk a lot about the fact that we keep it easy for the new guy. How do we grow, but keep it easy for the new guy?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of companies don't do that. So you bring in this community that you're building. I don't see any other company out there really doing that.
Yay. Thank you. I'm glad to hear that. No, it's something that's like really, really ingrained. Like we're building new features for the co-creator, and like the first thing that the team is doing is coming up to me saying like, hey, can we reach out to a few people from the community that have said that they've used co-creator and gather feedback? I'm like, of course, I know that this person, that person, this person, or like I'll make a post just asking people, and people are really excited to contribute. But it really is very much in the DNA of the company of like, let's just actually see how people are using this.
100%. So I guess on a personal level, not as an employee of Riverside, but as a personal level, when you hear those stories, like me and Crystal saying how many times it saved our show, or other creators in the community saying, hey, I really appreciate this or that. As a person, not as an employee of Riverside, but just as Kendall, how does that make you feel?
Oh, it's really nice. Like I think so there are a few things. Like on one side, I just like say that I have the best job at Riverside because they all have to work really hard on making all of this and like developing all of these features. And then on my end, I like just get to hear how they've affected people's lives and like have that kind of like qualitative part of it. So that's really nice. But I'm like really constantly impressed by creators because there is so much like vulnerability in putting yourself out there when you're creating content. And to a point that like I myself, like I've always wanted to like have a podcast, but I don't know. And it's so crazy to say because I literally work at Riverside, but I just like don't know what I want to talk about. Would I have a co-host? Would I have guests on? Like all of that. I just know how much that you all put into your shows and how like even putting clips out there for me like terrifies me of just like promoting my own work. So for me, it's like part of it is just really exciting to hear how like the company that you're working for has really affected people. Like I've had people cry on calls about how they've started their content creation journey and how many people they've connected with and how much they love what they do. And then also like on the other part of it, I'm just usually really just impressed by how everybody's really putting themselves out there, because that's something that I think is that people don't realize when you're just seeing it all over TikTok, but it is very like it's a scary thing to do.
The first time you sit in front of a camera is scary. But the worst part is the first time when you go to edit it and you hear your own voice.
Yeah, and then you like try to clip it. I think for me, I've done all of that. The scary part for me is like creating a clip of myself and then putting it onto the internet. I don't know why it's so like scary to me, because it's not like I don't put pictures of myself on Instagram. There's just like something about creating content rather than just like a picture of you or a LinkedIn post. And And yeah, so
It's the vulnerability.
yeah,
It's the vulnerability
definitely.
issue.
Yeah, like I mean, I have this like weird thing about like people I haven't seen in years, like seeing me pop up on their feeds of me being like, here are the 5 things you need to know about your podcast, you know? And why does that terrify me so much? I don't know, but it does.
What is it called? I've talked about it. It's imposter syndrome, and we all get it. I don't care if you've been doing it 100 years. When I first started doing it, I 100% had it. But even 2 years later, I mean, I feel like I'm not a perfect professional. I only use Riverside. I don't go into those other ones because I tried them and I hated them, right? But I would say that I still have that. So I think that's 100% what it is. Your friends, your family, people see that stuff and they go, well, they don't. They're probably going, wow, that's cool. But in our mind, we're thinking, oh, they're judging us, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So before we move on to learn a little bit more about Kendall, I just kind of wanted, again, thank you so much, Kendall, for being on. This is a really busy day for you. But by the time people see this, it'll already be out. But you've got this big call later on with the CEO of the company, Nadav, to talk about the new updates. So thank you again so much for being on today and taking this time. I can't thank you enough for that.
Yeah, of course. You know, it helps that one time that I have to sit in the studio and then my makeup can take me from this to the next.
There you go. Or your mic issues because the guys set things up
and then I get
wrong.
to fine tune everything before it's a call with the CEO. It's all good.
I have a question.
Yeah.
It's a big one though.
Okay.
You have a very busy life. Like you have a family, you have a career. What do you do to decompress? And do you do it solo or do you decompress usually with a friend or family or your wife?
Okay. So, decompressing. I really think that like parenthood for me turned I guess it's gonna sound bad because I'm talking about my work, but like it turned work into almost like a hobby in a way that like decompressing after like a long day of work to me is like coming home and seeing my daughter and like playing with her and like being a present parent. Like I don't see it as something, I mean, it's not like it's not exhausting like to follow around an almost 2-year-old, but for me that's a form of like decompression from the day. So that has been part of it. But then if I like beyond family and beyond that, like I'm a very social person. Like it makes sense because I work in community, but I'm a very social person. And I think that it's been important for me and my partner that like we balance it very well. Like we have no problem. Like you go out and be with friends. I'll be back home here. Like part of me like recharges being with family and decompresses being with my wife and child. And then part of me is also like given that space to go get a drink with a friend or to, you know, going to a birthday party with my friends a little bit later. So there's like I feel like I have that balance as of right now, you know, like talk to me and a few kids and we'll see.
Well, that's a huge piece that I wanted to really dive into because you're a community manager. You know, you've got Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, the Riverside pages, all the videos you have to do, all of that. Me reaching out to you about my sign. Like, how do you ever feel like you're off? Like, where do you find that switch where I can go, okay, I'm not Kendall from Riverside anymore. I'm Kendall the mother, Kendall the wife.
Yeah.
Where do you find that switch?
So it's funny because like I mean my wife's a doctor, so like it's like very funny how we both kind of try to find our balance of like when we're on and when we're off. I'd say for me it's like I what I'll do is like my schedule is very nice in the way that it can be very flexible. So my daughter is out from her childcare at like 4:30. And so I'll go home and I block off like let's say 4 hours to be with her. And then at 8:30 she's going to bed. I'll sometimes hop back on my computer and like take a few calls if I need to, answer a few emails just to kind of like bridge that gap of the time that I took off to be with my child. But otherwise, I mean, in the beginning, it was really hard to balance, like trying to figure out when to answer, when to not answer, all of that. And then, and like a lot of the time it'd be like me in line at a restaurant to go to the bathroom and like answering emails, like trying to bridge that gap of like always being on. And sorry if that was a little TMI, but that was how I was working in the beginning. And then now it's like I know when to like if I see somebody that's like I see preview text that's like, hey, I'm unable to log into my account. Okay, I'll jump in. If it's like I'd like to discuss a partnership, I'm like, I can answer that another time. So my only time that I like try to draw a little bit of a boundary is that like people like a lot of some users will like have my WhatsApp and it's okay to write to me. But then sometimes if it's like I sometimes have to say like, hey, why don't you send me an email just so that I feel that separation between like my own phone and my email. You have not done that, John. I was
No,
say,
but
don't even
I'm
raise your hand. You
guilty.
haven't done that.
No, but I'm guilty of look, I feel very privileged that I get to be part of the beta community. But sometimes I think that, and I catch myself, and I've done it where I'm like, you know what, I could probably send this through the actual like questions portion or help portion of the app versus driving your poor, team.
No, the group is one thing. The group is
Yeah.
made for that.
Yeah.
It's more of just like somebody being angry about something and then they have my WhatsApp and will write to me. And it's just like, I want to respond because I want to be there, but also it's a Saturday and I'm with my kids. And also it's a hard balance sometimes being a community manager because you do want to like have that open line of communication, but you have to kind of figure out when and where to respond to what and how.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
It takes time, though, I feel like, to figure that out, too. It's not something that you just know from the rip. Like, you realize, okay, well, I need a boundary here, I need a boundary there to keep our sanity, to keep everything, balanced.
Exactly. And at first, you're like, okay, let me answer everything all the time.
Yes.
And now it's become, okay, if this sits for like another few hours, is that going to be like a make or break thing? If it's like a timely issue that somebody's having, then I try to jump in as much as I can. But if it's like, I would be answering, hey, I'm looking for a partnership deal. I'll be like, hey, here's the partnerships team. Like, that's something that can wait till the next morning,
No, for sure.
Yeah.
So on that note of advice, when I brought Crystal on, I brought her on because she's kind of the yin to my yang when it comes to the mental health side, right? There's a lot of things that she's like, I look at her and go, oh my goodness, I wish that I was that amazing at. But then there's other things where she bounces off of me. And I saw, we've known each other since we were maybe 5.
Oh, wow.
So
I've been picking up to this yin yang thing. Yeah, with the difference in questions about like, how do I balance it mentally versus more of the tech? Yeah.
Yes. So I guess on her side, when I brought her on, I said, look, I want you to make sure that this is what you want to get into. I love this. Like, this is 4 years ago. Was this on my bingo card of life? Not at all. But I love it now. And I want to make sure that you're getting out of this what you think you need to get out of it, and that we're helping people. And I said, don't invest a dime. Use your phone, use your earbuds. Riverside will clean everything up. Don't worry about it. But as a new creator, because she's creates all the time. She's got her own shop, of course. But as a new creator on the podcast world, if you were to give her one piece of advice, what would it be?
I get this question a lot about like advice. Like, my thing is just, if you're doing like, you need to make sure that it's something, and not just you, Crystal, but like anyone who's doing this, a general you need to make sure that it's something that like you love to do and that makes you feel happy and fulfilled. Just because there's so much work involved of coming up to the mic and like editing all of it and having these conversations weekly or whatever your cadence is and putting it out there. If you're really going to make like the effort, it has to be for something that like really fills your cup. And so that's just off the bat, because a lot of people will be like, yeah, I want to make a podcast maybe and it'll be like something that they think is going to get them a lot of views, or they think is going to get them sponsorships or something like that. Like, no, it has to be something that even if it does get you a lot of views and sponsorships, is something that like you love to talk about and you feel fulfilled by and you're excited to connect with other people about. Because I think that that's kind of the hidden excitement of podcasting, is that you're alone in your studio creating something, but it creates this level of community with other people who are also interested in the same thing that you are. And I think that that's just like a really beautiful thing.
I think for me too, I struggle with balance. Like I have a lot going on, and John really does pick up a lot of the weight of everything. I just show up and talk at this point because that's all I have to give. But one thing that's really changed in my life was I posted every day and sometimes twice a day. I haven't posted on social media since my birthday on the 20th until yesterday. So July 20th to now, anything about my personal life. Because I feel like this podcast is taking the place of that, which has afforded me much more time with my partner, with my grandchildren, with my family, and doing my job. So
That's
like
great.
now I'm able to get that feeling out instead of every day wasting that. It was never a waste of time because I love inspiring people. I like telling my story. I like showing that there's other ways to do things. It doesn't always have to be how you were told. There's challenges or whatever. But so I feel like that's given me a lot of time, even though it's really hard to manage my time and get all this working right. I feel like it's actually helping my life a lot.
It makes sense because like kind of like what we teach people is that they should make like a recording and have that be the foundation for what they post, like kind of the bottom of the pyramid. Then you make clips, and so it ends up creating like you think it's kind of like setting up a system, and like that's going to take a long time. But then once you set it up, like it's going to free you out a lot of time. So doing an hour-long recording in that situation, it's like, okay, but then once you have that, you can have X amount of clips, which could mean a whole month of content just from recording that one thing. So it makes a lot of sense that it would be like that.
So we, as you can tell, my tech side of my life and this side of my life are starting to more separate, right? Even though I still leave the tech piece in, if we talk any tech, it's usually put it down, digital detox. But outside of creator life, outside of all of that, you personally, how do you recognize burnout before it gets too far for you?
I think, I mean, I'm like I'm a reactive person. Not a reactive person, but I'm not like, oh, that crept up on me. Like, I will feel something and I'll know that it's coming. And so I like identify the signs of, it's not burnout. For me, it's more like overwhelm. Like, if I have too much going on, that I'll be like, okay, I'll go to my manager and say, like, I need prioritization. Like, especially because something like community has so many different, it's kind of new. So like, oh, let's do an advocacy program, let's do beta testing, let's do that. Like there's so many different things that people could just throw at you. Let's do a workshop and a webinar and 5 of these. So then it becomes, okay, too many things are getting thrown at me. I start to feel like overwhelmed, and then it becomes, let's prioritize it. So that's usually how I approach it. But I'm not like, oh, burnout slowly creeping up on me. I'm like, I am realizing that I'm overwhelmed. I think as far as burnout with like jobs and stuff, I've always been the kind of person that once I hit that place, like I try not to, but once I hit that place, I know that I need to just like move on to the next thing. Like I don't dwell into situations where I don't feel happy in them. Like if I'm done at a job, I'm like, okay, I should probably start looking somewhere else, because otherwise I'm just going to be like sitting at this job unhappy. You know what I mean?
Completely. So I've been there, and I've left a career due to health concerns, and we've talked about that. And that's kind of what got me into podcasting to begin with, that I never thought I would ever have done. So my definition of success used to be, I want to, go as far in, corporate America as I can, make X amount of money, have this massive house. And then the health issues came with all that was on top of me, and my entire definition of success changed. So for you, Kendall, over the years, your career path has changed. Not really dramatically, because you're still talking to people, but going from political journalism to community manager for a podcasting company, How has your definition of success kind of changed over the years?
I actually I love that question because it's been something that I really have talked a lot about with like friends and family. Like my kind of background is that I was working in journalism. I had some really cool jobs at Bloomberg and NBC, and I was covering the 2016 campaigns. And I think for a while I was doing that, it was like everyone would like kind of speak with me about being a journalist, and it was like in this very like you're doing such amazing stuff. You know what I mean? Like, and so I started really looking at my own worth as my job. Like, wow, it's like if I wasn't when I started not being happy in my job, I started being like, but this is such an incredible opportunity. So many people would want this. It's just such an important time for journalism, like all of that. But I myself wasn't so happy. And then when I quit my job and moved across the world for my wife, and well, like to have a shot at like we were talking and just trying to figure out what was going on there. And so I quit my job, and everyone, like my friends, were all like, "You're insane." And it was a moment where I kind of was like, I started thinking about success and how for my whole life, I'm very East Coast US, born and bred, like lived in New York, Philadelphia, DC, like very East Coast. And so my whole life I'd been very like success is career. And I was like, maybe success could be finding your own way in another country. Maybe success can be learning another language or just assimilating to an entirely new culture, throwing yourself into something new. And so I think moving and having that experience completely changed what I thought success was, because it became not rooted in career, but like rooted in other parts of my life that I could successfully make a life somewhere else and find happiness somewhere else. That's not even part of my relationship, but that's within me.
I want to be considerate about your time, and I don't want to take too much of it. So I want to kind of get towards the end here. But I do want to ask before we start to wrap things up, if you look back at your life and you could look back to Kendall when you were a kid, what's one thing that you would go back and go, man, you're really going to be surprised about this. You're really going to enjoy this. What would that be?
Jokingly, I would say that well, when you said when you would go back, if I thought at first you're gonna say like what would you tell them, I'd be like, sit up straight because you have a horrible slouch now because you just were like the tallest kid in class going like this for like years. So
Yeah.
that's what I'd tell her to change. But as far as like surprising, I mean, I think that like I think my whole life here, I think like the fact that I came out, the fact that I found a wife and we have a beautiful child and we live near the beach, like all of that is just like, I think all of that would be stuff that I think would be surprising, especially the whole gay part. But like, I think that like in
When
the
did you
life
come
that I
out?
built, I came out when I was like 22. Yeah, like 22. Hindsight's 2020. It should have been years before that, but I think I think just the fact that I built this life, like I come from a small suburban town outside of Philadelphia, and so I think just the fact that like I built this life on the other side of the world and have a wife and a child, like all of that, I think would just be really exciting for 13-year-old slouchy Kendall.
So, Kendall, you've spent your entire career from journalism to now being the community manager at Riverside, telling other people's stories and helping them tell their stories. So 20 years from now, what do you hope people hear about your story?
Oh, wow. I like to I like to hope that like I really like connect with people. Like I hope that people really connect with me. Um, I like to hope that I am helping people or that I'm at least making like a positive impact. But also like like that I am a fun person to be around, that I am a good friend. Like that's what I want people to like. I don't know, that my connections with them are meaningful, whether that's making them laugh, whether that's making them feel supported. I think that would be one, and then also just like for my child's sake being a good parent, you know.
Well, thank you again so much for taking the time. Now, before we wrap up, I'm going to put you on a little bit of the spot here. So,
Good.
I don't know how many of my videos that you've ever seen, whether it's the podcast here or on my other channel, but I've kind of got this little thing that I adopted. Okay. And I always say at the very end, as always, stay healthy, stay balanced, and keep driving forward. Right. So when I brought on Crystal, she adopted stay balanced. So you notice what I said, it's almost like now wired into her. I said stay healthy, she automatically says stay balanced, right? So I want to give you as our first guest, and if you do a great job at it, maybe our guests are this is going to be the new thing. I want to start with stay healthy. Crystal's going to say her stay balanced. Now here's what I want from you. You can 100% say and keep driving forward. You can do that.
And keep driving
but
forward.
I would love if you would actually give it your own spin. Give it the Kendall spin. It doesn't have to be keep driving forward. Whatever the Kendall spin is, and I can give you a few seconds to think.
Yeah, please.
But if you're okay with this, I would love to wrap up the end of our show with it.
Sure. I'm trying to think.
Okay.
I feel like I'm just going to say stay happy.
Whatever.
Oh my gosh, I honestly said you were going to say something just like that. I would thought you would say joyful. I thought joyful would be the word.
Okay, I'll do joyful.
Don't do joyful, do happy.
Damn it. Okay, fine, I'll do happy.
You do whatever hits you at that moment. So let's wrap up the show,
happy,
guys.
So
We really love this. It's been such a great conversation with you again, Kendall, and thank you so much. So as always, are you ready? Stay healthy.
Stay balanced.
And stay happy.
And keep driving forward.
Always. Have a great one, guys.